Chosen one, if this video found you today, it is no accident. From November 13th to 15th, a cosmic reset window, a miraculous, silent shift, is active and you can feel it. The air changes, time gains another cadence, what was heavy begins to loosen. What you called confusion in the last few hours was not a fall, it was preparation. The universe was taking you out of what was borrowed to return what is yours. Today is not a prediction, it is confirmation. In this window, Mercury retrograde slows down the mind to reveal the truth beneath the noise, and Jupiter retrograde amplifies what is whole in you. Nothing here requires theatrical effort. It asks for presence and acceptance. Now pay attention, I am going to show you the 7 signs that the shift has already begun in you. You will recognize when the world seems different and respond precisely. You will notice the shift in the internal climate, the clarity emerging effortlessly, the subtle messages through dreams and encounters, the guided schedules that make everything fit, a silent confidence that requires no explanations, and miracle signs in the body asking for rest, nature, and silence. If 2 or more appear in the next few hours, you are inside the reset. If while listening to me, something in you responds with a "this is it," trust it. You are not late. You are right on time. Notice the small alignments. These whispers are direction. To anchor this moment, transform listening into a decree. Right now in the comments, as an act of agreement, I'm ready to receive. Chosen one, the first sign is simple and unmistakable. The texture of reality changes. It is not fantasy. It is refined perception. You look out the window and feel the sky has a different depth, as if the light were denser, as if the colors were in tune. The moon seems to notice you. The stars seem to respond. It is the same scenery as yesterday, but the field no longer responds as before. Miracle signs begin to leak through daily life. This doesn't happen because you really want to believe. It happens because your internal sensor, previously calibrated for noise, has begun to pick up frequency. When the mind slows down and the body stops fighting against what already is, the world stops being a backdrop and becomes a message again. The wind crossing the street seems to say now. A bird lands exactly when you think about changing direction. A reflection in the glass delivers a word you needed to hear. It is subtle, but it is clear. You notice that the silences have gained sound. The red light stops being impatience and becomes a precise pause. The stopped elevator is not a delay. It is synchronicity. Trivial signs, a repeated number on the clock, a name that returns in 2 places, a lost object that reappears, all aligned in the same beat. Pay attention. The world, which for weeks seemed to push you outside of yourself, now begins to pull you back to the center. Notice how the body follows. The breath deepens without effort. The chest loosens. The jaw unclenches. You walk down the street and for a few seconds feel a stillness that doesn't depend on what is happening. It is as if the external scenery were bending to welcome the internal decision you haven't named yet, but have already begun to live. This change of lens also exposes what no longer speaks to you. Places that used to stimulate you now sound too loud. Conversations you tolerated seem empty. Profiles you followed without thinking lose relevance. It is not arrogance, it is energetic hygiene. What doesn't have your new truth begins to dissolve from your radar, and what vibrates with what you have become appears with clarity. People, music, texts, invitations. You don't need to hunt for it, it comes to you. The heart, naturally, tries to doubt. What if it's a coincidence? What if I'm making this up? Don't fight the question. Observe the pattern. An isolated coincidence is an accident. Aligned coincidences form direction. The first sign doesn't ask you to do anything. It asks you to recognize. He who recognizes integrates. He who denies repeats. Notice how time behaves. Certain hours stretch to give you margin. Others compress to save you from waste. You arrive just in time and resolve something in 2 minutes that would have taken days. Or you miss a bus and meet the person you needed to meet. The world doesn't become magical because it decided to favor you. It becomes responsive because you removed the plugs from your consciousness. The universe has always spoken. Now you are listening. Maybe you cry for no apparent reason. Maybe you get chills out of nowhere. Maybe a scent from childhood crosses the room and returns a forgotten courage to you. Don't rush to explain. Receive. The explanation comes later. The mind wants to control. The sign wants to confirm. The "I get it" is not intellectual. It's somatic. A rest that appears in the middle of the day as if someone placed a hand on your shoulder and said, "It's all okay." If you can, name softly what you perceive. I am seeing. I am hearing. I recognize. Not as a mechanical mantra, but as consent. When you consent, the field draws closer. The next few hours tend to show you more of the same, not to impress you, but to train you in this new listening. What you need to know arrives. What you no longer need moves away. It's as simple as that. And if, in the midst of all this subtlety, doubt returns, go back to basics. Breathe, look around, and ask inwardly, what is this moment telling me? The answer is usually short. A word, a direction, a rest. Follow the short one. The path opens in the next step, not in the whole map. If you are perceiving the world differently, clearer, more intimate, more synchronized, you are already inside the change. This is how the miraculous shift announces itself. Without fireworks, but with precision. The second sign happens within. It needs no external proof. The noise that accompanied you in recent days begins to lose command. It's not euphoria nor artificial peace, it's functional calm. The mind lowers half a tone, the chest finds its rhythm, the body returns and okay, I can keep going. Notice the micro shifts, the restlessness that made you open 10 tabs, get up every 5 minutes, scroll on your phone for no reason, slows down. An interval appears between impulse and response. In that interval, you breathe, and in that breath, choice returns. You discover you can say "not now" to what used to hijack you internally, and "it's time" to what you had been postponing. It's subtle, but it changes everything. Emotions change texture. The crying that used to feel like a collapse turns into a clean release. It comes, it washes, it goes. Anger loses its bite. The same situation that drained you yesterday now meets a different response. I understand. It's not passivity, it's energy conservation. The body stops fighting against what already is, and when the fight ceases, discernment returns. Suddenly, you see an exit where before you only saw a wall. Simple tasks stop being mountains. Answering an email, rescheduling a meeting, throwing out what's no longer useful, tidying a corner of the house. The basics become a portal again. Every small decision made without drama frees up watts of attention for what truly matters. The simple becomes simple again, and the simple moves life. Another marker, a compulsion to explain drops. Before, everything required justification, testimony, a thesis. Now you inform. Instead of convincing, you communicate. 2 sentences close conversations that used to last hours. It's not coldness, it's coherence. The less you try to prove, the more your presence sustains what is. Boundaries become clear. The body warns you early. Weight in the neck, a knot in the stomach, short breath. Instead of ignoring, you listen. You adjust on the spot. You stand up, drink water, open a window, say, I'll be right back. Change the subject. Small maneuvers that seem like nothing and, in practice, maintain your axis. This is somatic intelligence in action. You might feel sleepy at an odd time. Don't confuse it with laziness. It's reorganization. When the system exits threat mode, it seeks to repair. If you can, lie down for 15 minutes, close your eyes, put the phone far away. You wake up with your focus repositioned. Functional calm is not slowness. It is potency without leakage. Relationships feel this shift. The same conversation that used to set off your triggers becomes a bridge. The ability to say no without anger and yes without fear emerges. You realize you can negotiate terms without negotiating your essence. An impossible request finds a feasible version. A good invitation receives a serene "not today." Respect grows because your voice has stopped wavering. If you work under pressure, the sign appears as efficiency. A 40-minute block delivers what yesterday took 2 hours. You start, you finish, you deliver, and you don't punish yourself for not having done triple. Closed cycles return your breath, and breath returns clarity. Here, a strategic and brief note: it is in this season that Mercury retrograde provides its best service. It cuts through excess noise for the truth to emerge, and Jupiter retrograde amplifies what is whole in your field. You don't need to believe it. Observe. Coherence becomes audible. There might be oscillation, moments of peace, followed by a small wave of doubt. Normal. When it comes, don't dramatize or over-explain. Do the basics. 3 longer breaths, eyes on what is in front of you, a quiet question: what is the next right thing? The next right thing is almost always simple, practical, close. Just do that. The rest aligns afterward. Keep a phrase for the day. Functional calm. Repeat it inwardly when you notice the old impulse to rush inside. The phrase pulls the body to its axis. The axis pulls the mind to clarity. If your internal climate is shifting, less noise, more axis, less explanation, more decision, less guilt, more responsibility, you are already inside the change. This is how the field confirms you have left survival mode and entered direction mode. The third sign doesn't come in a debate. It comes in clarity. Out of nowhere, in the shower, in traffic, in a line, the answer drops in. Whole. You don't think until you understand. You understand, and then you think. The decision you had been pushing away shows itself in one short sentence. The difficult conversation gets the right beginning. The path that was foggy lights up one stretch at a time, just enough for the next step. Notice the pattern. It's not euphoria, it's silent lucidity. It doesn't scream, it doesn't need to win arguments inside you. It simply imposes itself with specific weight. You feel it in your body. The air fits, the breath releases, the mind stops spinning scenarios. When clarity is real, it reduces possibilities to what is viable and true, and the rest loses its shine. Practical examples help to name it. You know exactly who to call and how to start. The text comes out in 3 lines, not 15. No becomes a complete sentence without a footnote. Yes comes with clear conditions and a possible deadline. The choice stops being correct and becomes coherent. This clarity also organizes priorities. Important things that were mixed up with others' urgencies return to the top. You see which 2 actions move 80% of the day, and you do them first. It's the opposite of feeling productive for being busy. It's being effective for being aligned. The clock cooperates when the direction is chosen. Synchronicities usually accompany this sign like arrows of confirmation. You think of a name, and the person appears on your screen. A repeated number stamps the decision the next minute. A song lyric answers the question you asked inside. It's not superstition. It's guided timing. The universe loves to speak the language of the simple when you are listening. If the mind tries to boycott, "What if I'm being hasty?" return to the body. True clarity relaxes, it doesn't contract. Ask, does this option expand me or shrink me? Does this bring me closer to who I am or move me further away? The answer is usually immediate. Expansion, even when challenging, brings a kind of peace. Contraction, even when comfortable, brings noise. Another indicator, the need to ask for new opinions to validate every step drops. You might still consult someone for strategy, but you don't outsource your access. Silence becomes more convincing than any external vote. It's as if a more adult part of you has returned from a trip and taken the wheel. Clarity doesn't mean doing everything at once. It means knowing the next right thing. Sometimes it's writing an email. Sometimes it's resting for 20 minutes to integrate. Sometimes it's ending a conversation gently, but without prolonging it. Clarity operates in exact steps, not infinite lists. When you respect the exact step, the next ones present themselves. Prepare for a positive side effect. Less explanation, more delivery. You don't spend energy anticipating objections. You act with sobriety, and reality responds. Doors that required force open with a light touch, and doors that were never yours finally close without drama. This isn't luck, it's coherence acting in a chain. In strategic moments of this window, communication also unlocks. Messages that went back and forth without conclusion suddenly flow. Old misunderstandings find the clean phrase that was missing. This is where the sky helps you. When you speak clearly, the world listens quickly. You don't need to raise your tone. You need to reduce the excess. If that urge arises, to review the plan 10 times, apply a simple test. Write the essential on one page. If it doesn't fit, clarity is lacking. If it fits, you already have what you need to start. Starting, in this context, is proof of practical faith. Clarity grows after the first gesture, not before. And if doubt returns, don't turn it into a labyrinth. Repeating the basics works. 3 breaths, a short question. What is the next living gesture? And a minimal movement. Clarity likes clean ground. Every living gesture sweeps the floor a little. When you notice that answers are arriving without effort, that decisions are summed up in one line, that the body relaxes when choosing, you are in the 3rd sign. Clarity that relaxes is the mark. And with it, the day flows in the right way. Less noise, more destiny. The 4th sign doesn't make noise. It arrives in whispers, vivid dreams, with a plot you remember when you wake up. Unlikely encounters that bring exactly the word that was missing. A shiver on the back of your neck when you think of someone. A desire to change paths, and suddenly, the answer is in that detour. It's simple, and that's why it goes unnoticed when you are rushed. Pay attention to 3 doors where messages usually enter. Dreams that leave a trail. It's not just any dream. It's the one that wakes up with you. Sometimes it has a central image, a bridge, a house, a road. Sometimes it's someone saying a short phrase that plays on repeat all day. Don't rush to interpret symbols as if it were a test. Do something more useful. Take the first living word from the dream and ask, what is the next right thing it's pointing me to? A good dream points to a simple gesture. Send a message, cancel an appointment, write 3 lines, rest, encounters with perfect timing. You think of a name, and the person appears. A random conversation in the elevator answers the dilemma that had been with you for days. A video pops up with the exact phrase at the exact minute. This isn't the algorithm spying on you, it's guided timing. When the field wants to guide you, it connects the dots effortlessly. Your job is to notice and say yes to what became clear, not to invent obstacles, waves of emotion out of nowhere, a tear that comes without sadness, a laugh that appears for no reason, a flutter in your stomach. That isn't fear, it's a nudge. These are micro-adjustments of attunement. The body is the loudspeaker for the message. When you feel the wave, don't try to explain it. Breathe and allow. The meaning usually reveals itself in the following hours, along with an objective coincidence. These messages don't ask you to become a fortune teller. They ask you to be responsive. The script is short. Perceive. Give thanks. Act small. Gratitude here is not a performative ritual. It is consent. Okay, I heard. This silent phrase opens space for the next piece. Simple tools. Help. A notepad by the bedside to capture the dream's phrase in one line. The 24-hour rule for guided encounters. If something appeared twice in the same day, take one step related to it. A check-in question for waves of emotion. Does this ask for action? A word or a pause? The answer usually comes in seconds. Maybe you also notice messages through repeating numbers, songs, keywords. You don't need to turn everything into an oracle. Use it as an arrow. It confirms direction. It doesn't replace decision. When the sign is real, it improves your practical life in the next few hours. If it only makes you dependent on another sign, it's not a message. It's disguised anxiety. There is an important caution here: selectivity. Not every beautiful invitation is aligned. Not every compliment is confirmation. Not every silence means give up. Therefore, observe the effect on your body. An aligned message relaxes. Even when it asks for courage, it comes with a kind of peace. What contracts you, confuses you, and makes you lose your axis is probably a distraction. Sometimes the message arrives as a limit, a conversation that closes, an opportunity that doesn't return, an unexpected no. Does it hurt? Yes. But often it's a deliverance that looks like a loss. The field is taking weight off, not punishing you. The useful question isn't, why did this happen to me? But what is this sparing me from carrying? This shift changes the day. If you need a simple marker so you don't get lost, a good message brings you closer to the essential. After it arrives, you know what to do in the next 24 hours, and you feel more space inside. That is the test. In strategic moments of this window, these whispers become more frequent. You don't need to ask for a spectacle. You just need to keep the channel clean. A little less screen, a little more air, a little less hurry, a little more presence. The rest, the path itself delivers. If subtle messages have started to cross your day, dreams that leave a trail, encounters with perfect timing, waves of emotion that align, the fourth sign is active. It's the universe speaking quietly, because you are finally listening loudly. The fifth sign is the clock in your favor. Things start to fit at the right minute. You arrive, and the person does too. The email lands when you are available to reply. A cancellation opens up the space you needed. It's not luck, it's guided timing. When the field wants to move you, it simplifies paths and saves on detours. Notice the precision. Right doors open without force, and wrong doors close without drama. If something gets stuck 3 times, you get the message and save energy. If it flows on the first try, you don't create obstacles. The rule is simple. Respond to what facilitates. True alignment doesn't require a soap opera. Along with this, the sixth sign is born: silent confidence. You stop narrating everything. The need to explain, justify, convince drops. You exchange proving for presence. The no comes out short and clean. The yes comes with contour and a deadline. The body feels when this is it. The breath deepens. The forehead relaxes. The step becomes firm. This confidence is not bravado, it's hygiene. You don't accept invitations that empty you. You also don't chase validation. When doubt arises, you consult the body. Does it expand or contract? Expansion, even when challenging, brings peace. Contraction, even when comfortable, brings noise. Follow the peace. 3 practices help consolidate these 2 signs. Short focus windows, blocks of 30-40 minutes for the next right thing. Close the cycle, breathe, only then open another. Ease check. Before insisting, ask, what is the aligned path of least friction? If it exists, use it. Lean language. Write the essential in 3 lines. If it didn't fit, it's not clear. Remember, guided timing is not everything fast. It's everything in the exact time. Sometimes it speeds up. Sometimes it slows down to protect you. If a pause arises, don't interpret it as punishment. Use it to organize. Give thanks. Rest for 10 minutes. Intelligent pauses maintain the axis. In relationships with others, the result appears as respect. People feel your word has backing. You don't disappear, but you also don't disperse. You show up where it makes sense, in the way you can sustain. If your day has started to resolve itself through alignments and inside, a new serenity sustains your choices. The 5th and 6th signs are active. It is life showing you that with direction, time cooperates, and with confidence, your voice is enough. The 7th sign is physical. Waves of sleep appear at odd hours, as if someone turned down the dimmer for a few minutes. It's not laziness, it's repair. When the system exits threat mode, it calls for maintenance. If you can, lie down for 10-20 minutes. If you can't, close your eyes for 60 seconds and stretch your neck. You return sharper. A hunger for silence also comes. Noises that went unnoticed yesterday now feel tiring. The impulse is to turn off notifications, lower the volume, have a meal without a screen. Heed it. Silence is a tool, not a luxury. It consolidates the previous signs. Perception of the world, internal climate, clarity, messages, guided timing, and confidence. Another clue is the call of nature. A desire for sun on your face, feet on the ground, air on your skin, 15 minutes of light and breath. Change the day more than an hour of infinite scrolling. A short walk, watering a plant, gazing at the horizon. Minimal gestures that ground the field. To integrate in the next 24 to 72 hours, think of 3 verbs. Hydrate, simplify, thank. Hydrate, real water at regular intervals. The body conducts signals better when it's not dry. Simplify, do the next right thing and close small cycles. Fewer open tabs, more completion. Thank, not as a performance, but as consent. I saw, I receive. Gratitude stabilizes frequency. Avoid 2 excesses, over-explaining and forcing an epic turnaround. If someone asks for a report on everything you are experiencing, it's not necessary. Name little and stay present. And don't try to turn every insight into a life change before bed. Let the field finish what it started. If oscillation arises, clarity in the morning, doubt in the afternoon, treat it as recalibration, not a relapse. 3 breaths, a glass of water, 1 simple step. Remember, coherence grows with repetition of the basics, not with emotional peaks. At opportune moments in this window, you may notice that conversations flow when your energy is precise and shorten when it's not. Accept the rhythm. Intelligent pauses maintain direction. If the body asks to lie down early, obey. If you wake before the alarm, use the silence. When the body asks for sleep, silence and nature, and the day responds with calm alignments, the 7th sign is active. You are not stopping, you are settling. This is how the shift becomes the path. Chosen one, if you recognize 2 or more signs in this window, you are already in the shift. The world responded differently. The internal climate turned. Clarity arrived without effort. Subtle messages crossed your path. Time guided you through alignments. Confidence became silent. The body asked for sleep, silence, nature, and you listened. Nothing here requires a spectacle. It requires coherence. In the next few hours, do the basics with presence. Close small cycles, respond to what flows, and don't force what gets stuck. If the mind tries to manufacture drama, return to the simple question: what is the next right thing? The answer usually fits on one line and is confirmed by the body. It expands, it doesn't contract. To integrate between November 13th and November 15th. Think of 3 verbs: hydrate, simplify, thank. Hydrate for real. Simplify the agenda to the essential. Give thanks as consent. I saw, I receive. Use brief pauses as technology. 3 breaths, a glass of water, 2 minutes of light on your face. Intelligent pauses maintain direction. If there is a pause, integrate. If there is advancement, walk with sobriety. Remember, the universe is already moving you. You just need to agree step by step. Observe, right doors open without force, and wrong doors close without drama. Follow the aligned ease. To anchor what you have received, transform listening into a decree. Right now in the comments, without explaining, just affirming the choice. I'm ready to receive. I will meet you at the next right. Stay aligned.